Hi, my name is Ben, and I'm the former CEO of a debt settlement debt relief firm. Today, I want to give you an inside view of how debt settlement works, the process, the costs, and everything you need to know to make the most informed decision about your situation, because there's a lot of debt relief firms out there that you may feel a little icky about. So let's get started. Welcome to the Ascend Finance YouTube channel, where we take complex topics such as debt settlement and break them down into human, simple, understandable language. My name's Ben, and I'm the co-founder here of Ascend. Now, if you're struggling with debt and you don't really know what to do, we created a debt settlement cost and alternatives calculator, and I included in the description below to help you kind of guide you through the costs of your different options, the pros and cons, that's personalized to your data so that you can make the most informed decision. Let's cover what we're going to talk about in this video. First, we're going to cover signing up with the debt relief or debt settlement company process. Second, we'll cover the day-to-day life in the debt settlement process. 3, we're going to talk a little bit about credit score, credit impact, credit report impact in debt settlement. And 4th, we're going to talk about graduation and then rebuilding your credit after debt settlement. So let's get started. First, we're going to briefly cover signing up with a debt settlement company, a debt relief company, and what you kind of should look for when you're signing up with a company. First, I like to be completely transparent with every individual that I come in contact with by saying that 2 of the things that you should definitely consider are monthly cost and duration. So how much are you going to pay? How many months is that going to be? And then you can take those numbers, you can multiply them together, and you can get the total cost of the program, and then you can compare it to how much debt you're consolidating in the program. When you're looking at signing up a debt settlement company, oftentimes they may give you, this is how much it's going to cost, how many months it's going to take. And unfortunately, a lot of debt settlement companies aren't going to tell you the exact fees you're going to pay in the company. So it's super important to do that. But what we did was we basically went out and found some of the lowest cost debt settlement providers, and also the ones that with the highest ratings, the great BBBs, the A+s out there, good non-biased reviews. And we built a debt settlement cost and duration calculator, and I put a link in the description below that you can take, and that can help you estimate what your cost is going to be to consolidate the amount of debt that you have. So for example, let's say you have $50,000 in unsecured debt. You take the calculator below, and you can find out like maybe it's $400 or $500 for X number of months, and then you can kind of sense how much you're paying towards fees, how much you're paying towards other things such as the escrow fees that I'm going to cover a little bit later. And that gives you a really good estimate of so that when you're if you're talking to multiple debt settlement companies, you can say, well, this is much more expensive than what this calculator is saying, or something like that. So another thing when you're looking at debt settlement companies, what I would like to tell you is we like companies that are going to tell you all about the different options. So like if you qualify for Chapter 7, maybe it's beneficial to tell you that, and maybe Chapter 7 may be a better option in that situation. I'm not sure your situation, but we like companies that are like basically completely transparent about that. And the second thing that we really like when we were a debt relief company that was really important for us was to talk about the credit score impact and the lawsuit likelihood. So like in some instances, there are some creditors that sue for unpaid debt and there's some that don't. And it's really important that you kind of understand which ones may sue or which ones may not sue, so you get a sense of whether your portfolio of creditors is very high risk or low risk. For example, let's say you had 10 creditors and they're all Amex, and like Amex may be more likely to sue than another creditor. And so let's say the debt relief company tells you, they don't do that with you, and you sign up for the debt relief company, and then 3 months later or 6 months later, you're getting sued by multiple times, right? In that situation, it'd be nice to know that before signing up, so you can make the most informed decision whether to sign up with that company. And then there's other creditors that you don't see sue as much. So if you have creditors that don't sue as much, maybe it makes more sense to do debt settlement. But it's really important to know that before you sign up, instead of waiting 6 months, 12 months down the line and getting a bunch of knocks on your door for all these different lawsuits. Now, creditors may change over time, who sues, who doesn't sue, but it's definitely important to use the information you have today to at least be informed about that decision that you're about to do. Next, we're going to talk about the day-to-day process in a debt settlement company. I used to settle a lot of debt, so I have a lot of kind of inside view of day-to-day life in the debt settlement company with a debt settlement company. So first, once you sign that agreement, that client services agreement with the debt relief company, and this is more geared towards people that work with debt relief company. If you aren't working with a debt relief company, if you are kind of doing it yourself, we definitely help people with settling debt on their own. And I also will add a link to the video below on how to settle debt on your own. But this video is more going to be geared towards settling debt with a debt settlement company. And so once you sign up that client services agreement, you're going to add all your creditors. And then generally debt relief company, when you sign up, they will get a power of attorney. That's part of your client service agreement. And then they'll fax that out to all your creditors to basically be the middleman between you and your creditors. So, because in debt settlement, your accounts go behind before they settle the debt. And that's kind of one of the reasons why debt settlement can get better rates in terms than you would get if you were just trying to settle the accounts when they're current. So when they do that, when they send that out, that definitely saves you from all these calls and texts and emails and letters potentially that would have come to you now or going to the debt relief company. And that's another question that you can ask the debt relief company beforehand is, do you send that out right away, or are you waiting a long time to send out that power of attorneys? Because some companies may send that out a lot later, and then you get a lot of collection calls, and that's a terrible experience. Just to get a lot of collection calls, if you have 10 creditors and you're getting 30 calls, why don't they send those power of attorneys out early? So that's a good question to ask them. But when you sign up that client service agreement, they send the power of attorney. Now the collections agencies and all those are going to contact the debt relief company, and then what's going to happen is you're going to usually have a monthly draft amount or a bi-weekly draft amount that will be taken from your account and put into a special purpose bank account, and those funds from that special purpose bank account will be used to settle the debt with your creditors. Let's say you were putting $1,000 a month towards your unsecured creditors, such as your credit cards and your personal loans, and let's say you stop paying those and you take that $600 now, so you save the $400 and you put that into your special purpose bank account, and those funds are the funds that are going to be used to settle each of the debts with each of your creditors, generally for less, for example. So, and then that account you should have access to, and that is actually should be your account that they have access to with your permission to take those funds and then use them towards the unsecured debt. And so every month those funds will accrue, so they'll accrue monthly, and after they get to a point where they have enough funds and the creditors are willing to negotiate, that is when the debt settlement company will negotiate that settlement, usually try to send you something in writing about the terms of the settlement, make sure that the account is going to go to a zero balance, and that you are going to be completely that complete account is going to be completely resolved. And they also should be asking for your permission to settle the account. So let's say you had a $10,000 debt, and let's say a creditor is like, I'll take $10,000 for it, so 0% savings, and they can't just go and settle that account. They have to go to you and say, okay, this is the terms. They're offering a 0% discount. Do you accept? And you can say, no, I don't accept. This isn't that doesn't seem like the best offer in this situation. And so that is one of the important steps. And so once you say yes, you'll probably get into what is a structured settlement or a lump sum settlement. Most often you're probably going to do structured settlements. So you're going to pay monthly to that same creditor every single month. And that's why debt relief companies can be very helpful, is because if you have 3 or 4 settlements happening at once, they're going to be settling that one account, and then they might settle another account, and there's going to be all these different payments going to all these different creditors every month. And just be really hard to do that on your own if you're kind of sending out checks to creditors, and the creditors systems aren't great generally. They may not even be able to you might just have a manual process where you're having to send a check every month if you're doing it on your own. And that's one thing that debt relief company does help with, is managing all that paperwork. So once you settle that debt, let's say you settle a $10,000 debt for $5,000 and let's say 20 payments, then every month the debt settlement company would make a payment from your escrow account to that creditor. And now one of the things is they also sometimes take their fee at that point, and hopefully by the time you get to that point, you'll know how much of a fee they hopefully before they take the fee, you'll know what percentage you're going to pay of the fee. And I think that's one thing that we are very cognizant about, is understand the fee and also compare it to the debt settlement calculator results. So you can kind of say, are they charging me an exorbitant fee or a fee that's legitimately okay, right? Because some of these debt relief companies will just say, the fee is included in the plan. And you'll say, well, what's the fee? Well, it's just included in the plan. It's including your monthly payment. And we don't like that because it's a percentage, and it's a percentage of your enrolled debt amount. And it's important to know that. And it can be a wide range. So let's say it's 25% versus another company that charges 20% or 30% compared to 20%. If you're enrolling, $100,000 in debt, that's $10,000 additional in fees you'll pay with the 30% versus the 20%. And so it's really important to know that percentage, not just seeing the monthly payment and saying, oh, it's less than what I'm paying now, this is a good deal, but realizing it could be even less than what that person is saying, right? So after you get that settlement, after you do the lump sum or the structured, then the debt settlement company will make a payment every month to those creditors until each of those creditors have been settled. And then, that's kind of the process. And they go one by one until all your accounts are settled and you're completely debt free from that debt. Next, we're going to talk about just credit score, credit report impact, just briefly. I'll put a link in the description below about our full video about that. But generally, if your accounts are current, you might face a bigger credit score impact than if your accounts are already behind when you go into a debt settlement program. So if your accounts are current and you're going to debt settlement company, then all the accounts are going to go 0 to 15 or 15 to 30, I think, 30, 60, 90 days past due. And so each of those marks on each of the different creditors are are gonna have a mark, and then your credit score will be impacted based on all those different marks. About 120 days to 180 days, that account will be charged off or probably written off, and they might send you something that says this account's written off, and you may say, oh wow, my balance is zero, but they're still probably going to try to collect that, and they might send it to debt collection agencies or something else. They might sue you for that debt. So even if you see like, oh, there's all these zero balances on my account, you may not be in the clear essentially, and that's still debt that may be within the statute of limitations that they can still potentially sue on. So just really be cognizant about kind of that process, that credit process. So the debt goes past due. Once that account is settled, it will become paid, settled for less on your report. Some collection agencies will actually remove it altogether from your credit report, and that's probably maybe the most helpful, but others will just mark it as paid, settled for less, and that will be better than if it's charged off, it was potentially late. It might be better if it was late, just to have that mark that's saying we did reach a settlement and this one is paid. That's why one of the things debt, I think that there's some companies that pitch debt consolidation programs as debt consolidation loans, and I think that's terrible because debt consolidation loans can actually help your credit score. Debt consolidation programs are definitely generally going to impact your credit score negatively. Now, if you start with a negative credit or bad, or like a credit score that's in the 400s and the 500s, then you may not see as big of an impact. You actually may see it increase after you make those settlements. So it really kind of depends on the starting point. And then after you're kind of done with the credit program, that's when you may, or maybe at the end, you're starting to like maybe rebuild your credit score with like secured credit cards or secured lines of credit. And that's kind of your decision if you want to rebuild your credit score or if you just want to kind of not avoid credit altogether. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful to you in terms of just your credit score impact. And finally, let's talk about just graduation and the life after debt settlement. So after you settle all the accounts or the debt settlement companies, they'll probably graduate from the program. So they'll stop taking those monthly drafts, those fees, all the different things. And at that point, you'll have probably a credit report that has a lot of different accounts that are settled. And then you can kind of start to kind of rebuild that credit on each account one by one. And that should be able to help you get to that next level in terms of, being able to, live your life again as it were. So yeah, hopefully that is extremely helpful to you. Thanks so much for watching this video on debt settlement process. I'm hoping that's really helpful for you. If you like this video, I definitely appreciate the subscribe because we're constantly trying to make more content that's unbiased and engaging. It helps you get out of debt cheaper, easier, and faster. We'd also appreciate a like if you like the video because it's really encouraging to me to also create content. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great day and we'll see you soon.